All right, good afternoon. Welcome back here to Trader Minute. Great to have you aboard. Get that feedback on here. Let's go take a look at a couple things here. If there's any stocks that you want me to discuss, go ahead and put them in here into the chat. I'm happy to do that. Let's start with Marathon and Lennar. Not much different to say about them. Marathon's held up pretty darn well during this market slide. Kind of seeing the same thing as yesterday here, and then with Lennar, we're seeing it pull back here. One of you mentioned it kind of trades hand in hand with the IWM, and yeah, it does have those elements here. It's a very bearish pattern overall here for Lennar. Not really much to say, not a whole lot of volume. It is underperforming some of the others here today. It's underperforming KB Home. It's underperforming Ryland. It's underperforming Beazer. So we're looking at we're looking at all these others down 0.1, 0.2%, and Lennar down about 1.4%, which is great. Great for us overall there. So Lennar Marathon, not changing anything with those here. Yeah, Triple D. Would I take a shot on Triple D short? If so, what strike price would you use? I wouldn't. I wouldn't, JC. I think we've seen way too many of these snap back. Do I think you make money on a short play over time? I do. But you're probably having to hold that a little too long for the options. The option values have probably ballooned here today on Triple D. So I wouldn't. If I were going for it, I would go for it thinking, man, I got to get a move down to 60, which is going to be really aggressive. So I might go after some sort of 70 puts or 65 puts. Let me pull them up here. What the pricing is on them. And those prices they're heavy. This is almost the case where you'd prefer to look at a spread to do something like a 70-60 put spread or a 75-65 put spread on that. Okay. But I'd have a hard time. The reason being is risk reward. It's not directional bias, it's risk reward. Yeah, you like DDD short here. Well, it'll look good at 76. It'll look good at 78. It'll look all the way good up to 80. About $6, $7 of risk there. That makes it a little bit tough overall. Okay. Yeah, let's take a look at Nike. Sorry, I just typed Hiya in. Hiya. Okay, Nike here breaking the 7. This is in Nike, Allstate, Disney, a lot of these things, and we talked about, hey, they're holding up well yesterday, and it's a matter of does the market hold on, okay? And if the market doesn't hold on, they're all going to get sold. But if the market does hold on, they'll continue their trends. So is Nike breaking the 7? It is. Is risk elevated? Absolutely is. Okay, risk is definitely elevated here, and we could see a stronger pullback. Has that happened so far for Nike recently? No. I mean, Nike, Allstate, any of these that are on strong uptrends, I wouldn't make a decision on them here. I'd wait till the end of the day, see where they close, and then make a decision based on how much risk you want to have in play. Okay, and that's what it'll come to be here is, how much risk do you want? TXN, kind of that same thing. In fact, any of these top 3 that Carl has been talking about that have been very bullish overall today, getting their first pullbacks below the 7, and we're seeing that happen kind of market wide. A lot of these stocks have been trading above the 7s, are now breaking down below the 7s. Disney not quite, but we're seeing that market wide, and in the S&P 500, you see it coming right back to the 7. Now, keep in mind we're only down 5 points. Okay, yes, did it hit 1800? Yes, if we backed off that point. Can you argue that? Can you make a whole bunch of bearish arguments on this market? Absolutely. Would I have all calls and no puts without any protection? No. Not at all. But you can protect yourself in several ways. IWM puts is one way to protect yourself. I'm always a big fan of that. VIX calls, which need about another day to really start to appreciate in value overall here. Costco. Costco here, and this is kind of the same as the Allstates, the Nikes, the Disneys, right? You have MACD weakening, starting to come down. Look, these are going to be the stocks that snap back the fastest. Your Costco's, your Nikes, your Allstates, they're going to snap back the fastest. It's just, okay, if they start to break the sevens here today, you're risking them coming down to 120. Costco coming back to 120, you're risking. And do you want to ride something like this here in July? 1, 2, 3 bad days. Do you have the stomach to ride that and then hope for a pop up? That's kind of the question you have to ask on any of these upside type of plays that are breaking down here today. Johnson & Johnson. Johnson & Johnson, beautiful. From a bullish standpoint here today. It underperformed a little yesterday, but continuing to hold the 7, continuing to trade in a very bullish position there. Okay. Okay, Ali, BVN. You shorted BVN on Friday. What's the exit price on this? 13 was the minor resistance or support level for BVN. Now you're really talking about probably breaking 12. You're looking at $11.50 to $12 here on BVN. As long as it continues to trade in that lower Bollinger, press the gas and run it. Okay. And run it. If you want to pull some profit off of it, sure. There's nothing wrong with trimming some and running the rest, but as long as it closes in that band, you're in play for this type of move back here in June. And so, as long as it pierces that band, don't hesitate there. Okay. Yeah, you wish Lennar would make this easy and drop $2 to $3. Yeah, it'd be nice, right? The one thing with these home builders, they don't always trade with the market itself. If we're going to get a big drop, it'll probably happen with the market going flat type of a day. Petro Rob, Chesapeake, 9 method bear candle pattern. It is. The earnings here on Chesapeake just weren't up to par. There's a lot of selling that still needs to happen to see Chesapeake come back to 23. Is probably where it's going from a downside standpoint here on Chesapeake. I mean, the Chesapeake chart and the Tesla chart have a lot of similarities. Only Tesla's a little more volatile. Apple kind of pretty much flat here today. There's still nothing that gets me excited about. I'm in a few calls on it, but there's nothing in here that gets me excited about jumping into more Apple just yet. I'd love to see it go test 510 and start to bounce there. It's not selling off on a lot of volume. It really looks much more market weighted than Apple issue there. For those of you long-term wanting to build a position, anywhere in this consolidation is fine. But I wouldn't be too eager to jump into calls on here just because if Apple breaks 530, it's not like you're missing it. If it breaks 530, you're going to 545, 550. So you're not in real danger of missing it here with Apple. Oil continues to kind of grind lower over the course of the days. It's consolidated a little bit. These type of formations that the USO is on, they typically resolve themselves lower. We had this very similar type of consolidation early in October. They tend to resolve themselves lower. I would be very surprised to see USO resolve itself to the upside at this point without some more downside action. If you just take a look at the pure price of West Texas crude, we're down in the 93 area. To see this thing break 92 is probably going to happen. Will it have an effect on MRO? Well, you tell me. I mean, MRO's gone from 34 to 36 and a half, 37 over the last month and a half. and USO has, or the actual price of oil, if I bring up West Texas oil, has gone from 104 to 93 in that same time. So, oil and MRO have completely lost their correlation there. And we're not in MRO because we're bullish on oil prices. SSYS, look, these high multiple stocks are just getting dumped. We saw them start to dump yesterday, and then some of the ones that held up pretty decently yesterday are getting hammered here today. This is a sign of a lot of nerves in the market. Would I go jump in SSYS on the put side right here? No. I mean, I'd have trouble doing that. You're probably going to get a sympathy rebound tomorrow, but overall, we're seeing these high multiple stocks just kind of getting taken out to the woodshed here. Here's Netflix breaking down below the 7 here. Carl had talked about some of the bull vibe signals, but couldn't put it on his top 3. Why? Well, because you're talking about all this selling from earnings. We're starting to see some of that come into play as some of these high multiple stocks get hammered here. And so SSYS is kind of in that category. They all become tough to play. They look really fun in hindsight, but in foresight, there's always, okay, a bounce of $10 wouldn't be that big a deal, right? And so they can make them quite difficult to play. And so if you're going to play it, I wouldn't put a certain dollar amount and put a stop on it. I would just put into the option what you're willing to lose there. Okay. Home Depot, pretty good earnings. Has pretty much sold all day. I don't know that that's really a problem with Home Depot as much as it's an issue in the broader market as far as just concern. Just concern for some of the lofty valuations. I know the bulls make the argument that market valuations are really good. I think most of those arguments are pretty much hogwash because the environment's so different from what they're comparing them to over the last 50 years. But we are talking about some pretty high multiples overall in the market, and I think that's really what Home Depot's about. It's not about a weak earnings report. It's about heavy multiples and overall a little bit of trouble here in the market. Doesn't mean everything has to be weak. Okay, take a look at Chevron here today. Chevron breaking out to the upside. Chevron had this very bullish island reversal right back here beginning in November. Has found resistance up here at 121. Now breaking out to the upside on a trend rider bull signal. Chevron on trend rider bull and bear signals normally has follow through. It's a great one for some strong follow through, and Chevron definitely has that in play for it. Okay, so while market futures might be down and the market itself is down a little bit, and we're seeing some of the high multiple names being sold, notice what's not being sold. We're not selling. We're not seeing selling the banks. We're not selling some of the energy value. It's pretty much the higher multiples being sold. MJN. Talked about MJN Monday, and still haven't found a real good place to get in. I'd love for this thing to dance around 82, 83 for another 3-4 days till we cash out Lennar and MRO, and then we can go play some MGN calls. But could you pick it up here with an 82 stop? You could. That'd be a pretty aggressive play overall, but definitely in play there. Also, gold, okay? The GLD. Okay, been asked about gold, and do I think gold's going to pop if the market pulls back? And there isn't a gold market correlation anymore. A lot of the gold market correlation stuff has gone away. And what we're seeing in gold, with gold kind of getting a nice little breakout right back here in October, getting this push higher, broke this smaller downtrend, found support here at 122, started to break higher. Some of the events out of the Fed started to push gold back down. With it down here and not really getting a lot of bounce, it's probably going to a new short-term low. Okay, we have lower highs in here from September to October. We're probably going to have lower lows We do have a small support level here at 120, but overall to come back and test these June lows is what we're looking at in the cards overall there for gold, regardless of market direction here. So those anxious to pick up gold or want to pick up gold because it'll be a market hedge, I'd much rather pick up the VIX here. Alrighty. Take a look at Caterpillar. Caterpillar pretty flat. Tried to break out yesterday to the upside. Tried to have strength here this morning, continuing to break down. All the strength continues to get sold. Uh, but for those of you looking to short Caterpillar, okay, you have to keep in mind that yes, the strength is getting sold, but so's the weakness is getting bought. You have the stock buyback in play. There's no doubt that it's affecting Caterpillar in a big way. We see that almost every day. We see that almost every single day here, with it getting bought into below 80 or in that 83 and a half range. Deere has had some very interesting action. I was asked what I make of it, and I don't. There's some charts you just don't make anything out of. You can make bullish and bearish arguments all over the board. From a risk-reward scenario, there's not really a great one here for Deere, so it's one I would just rather stay away from and not really mess with here at this point. Okay. Alrighty, so no changes here on Lennar, no changes here on MRO. They're both kind of working for us here a little bit, and we'll expect that to continue. If you look across the board, are there shortable things? Are some of the downside actions haven't followed through today in Vegas Sands and MGM? Absolutely. I mean, MGM is just getting clobbered here today, and pulling back very heavy. Las Vegas Sands getting some nice follow through. So we're actually seeing some follow through on some of the bearish candles that have come in, and that's been pretty good there. Uh, yeah, Derek. I don't know that I have a lot of control of that, right? Uh, yeah, TLLP, big volume. Obviously, some news here with them today, pulling back to Tesoro Logistics. You've hit me with a ticker that I am very um, unfamiliar with. I mean, my first instinct is to say, well, they're a partner with Tesoro. Um, okay, founded in 2010, so it's probably a split off, right? Probably some sort of split off Tesoro. Yeah, okay, they're a subsidiary of Tesoro Corp. Okay, look, it's not uncommon. Okay, and a lot of the Chinese IPO stocks did this. It's not uncommon for a company to spin off another company, and then you basically look at that spin-off company, and it just keeps going down, keeps going down, keeps going down, keeps on falling, while the parent company continues to rise. And the reason being is they basically harvest off their assets, their liabilities off to the other company that split off, and the major company's left with most of the assets and the profits, while the other company is left with a lot of the baggage per se. Okay. Yeah, I mean, Lehman, it's actually a lot more common. Some of the financials weren't really able to do that. It's a lot more common in the oil and gas sector. In fact, next time John's here, we'll have him talk to you about some of that. He's made some really good money off shorting some of these split offs, and then it's more common to see in some of these Chinese stocks. Okay. Yeah, Jeff, I'm not in Lennar. Is it too late to get in? The risk reward isn't as good as it was yesterday. using the 35 level. Okay, the risk reward just isn't as good here, but at the same time, we're getting a little bit of confirmation. I'd love to see this thing just end here. Well, granted, I'd love to see it down $2 to $3, but for the market for today, realistically, I'd love to see it end here, and then gap down to something like 33.75, 33.70, and start to break that 7 in the morning. That would be some really good price action for Lennar. Are we getting near a potential short-term bounce point? We are here at this 34. And we are getting near a potential bounce point here. So if you're okay with the full dollar risk there, the only thing different between the trade now and the trade yesterday is the risk difference. You have a little more risk on it right now, while we have the same amount of risk. We have some gains built in that would offset that. Okay, that would offset that. Okay. Got an email from one of you stating that MRO was up $500 and we should have sold it. And you'll notice here comments that come in like that, or even emails. I'll respond to the emails, but very typically won't even respond to the comments, because in no way, shape, or form am I following what the profit and loss is on that. I'm managing the trade from a technical standpoint. One of the things that I learned very quickly, fund managing, if you're managing a trade from a profit loss standpoint and you're banking the gains and trying to, double check yourself or get on yourself or second guess yourself because you saw it at a 400 gain and it slipped down to 300 or eventually even went negative. You're killing yourself as a trader. You're just killing yourself. You're not doing yourself a service. You're not doing anything productive for your trading that can help out your psyche, mentality, or point going forward. All you're doing is continuing to create an attitude of second guessing within yourself that makes it harder to trust your decisions going forward. I say that because, well, I've been through it. It's been something very real there. Okay. Yeah, Human George, you probably leave a lot on the table when you do that. No, absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, Nick, MRO pretty strong. It really has been today. I mean, it really has been. Even from an hourly perspective, it's very nice that to see the way it's held up. I know it's gone up, hit above 37 a few times, but even after yesterday's pullback, to see the strong surge coming back towards the 7 hour, this overall uptrend remains intact. It's really in a good spot. Obviously, if the market tanks, Marathon's probably going to go down. I mean, that's just part of it, and it's one of the reasons why I wanted to put play on yesterday. Is just in case there was some weakness overall. But today we're fortunate. Marathon's going up, Lennar's going down. We'll take it. Neither of them are near stopping points. Neither of them are near profit target points. So the chances of me taking them off here into the close are very slim. I'd say probably 95% sure we're going to hold them. But, we still have 90 minutes to go. A lot can change. A lot can change here. All right. Well, Carl will be on here in about a half hour with his top three. I know he's got some good ones here for you today. There aren't a ton of signals, but some of the recent selling has accelerated some of the signals, and I know he's excited about sharing those here with you. And any other questions, let us know. We'll talk to you later. Take care.